Hi there, my name's Sabrina Marino.
Hi, I'm Sam.
Nice to meet you, Sam.
Nice to meet you.
How was your drive-in today?
It was okay.
Yeah. All right, so before we get into talking about anything, I just want to let you know there is some confidentiality things that we need to go over. So everything that we talk about in this room is completely confidential. I won't be discussing it with anyone else, and I wouldn't be talking to anyone that you know about it. It doesn't matter. The only times that I would have to break confidentiality is if you show signs of self-harm, of harm to others. If there were any signs of abuse with children involving kids, or if you're subpoenaed to court, or if there's any abuse from another healthcare provider. Those are the only times that I would have to break confidentiality. So I'll get you to sign a little paper just saying that confidentiality can be broken only with that, and you are aware of that, okay? Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Do you have any questions about it?
No.
All right, perfect. Okay, so now we got that underneath the... we're done talking about it. What would you like to talk about today? What brings you in?
Well, it wasn't my choice to come in today, but my fiance thinks that there's an issue that needs to be addressed.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So, what is the issue exactly?
Well, so we are engaged. We are due to get married next year in the summer.
Oh, congratulations.
Thanks. But over the past couple months, it's just been a bit rocky, so I've started to use a substance in which he just found out, and it's to the point where he's threatening to call off the wedding and everything else if I don't change or just continue what I'm doing, but I don't see it as that big of an issue.
Okay. And could I ask what the substance is, or if you don't find it to be important to discuss or disclose with me? But
I've been using heroin.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, and how long's that been going on for?
I'd say about 4 to 5 months.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that it's supposed to be a really happy time in your life, and it's not really turning out that way just because of some issues that are maybe going on in your life that's affecting. Would you say it's affecting your family life? Would you say it's affecting social aspects?
Yeah, I mean, my parents don't know, and his parents don't know, but if it gets to a point where he decides to call off the wedding, then they're all going to find out why, and that will just completely ruin every relationship I've ever had with any of my family.
Right.
And I just don't want it to get to that point, but I don't personally see my using as that big of an issue to get to that point.
Okay, so you said you started using 4 to 5 months ago. When did that, what was happening in your life around that time? When did you get engaged to your fiance? When did he propose?
I think 2-3 months before I started using. He lives in another city.
Okay.
So once he proposed, we just thought it was time to kind of start our life together in a new city, just prepare for the life that we will have as soon as we're married. So upon that, I decided to leave my job and go to where he was.
Mm-hmm.
And I left my job of 15 years, and now living in his city, I'm unable to find anything like I had, and I just feel like I screwed myself over in a way to accommodate him, and now I'm unemployed, and it's getting hard.
Wow, that does sound really difficult, actually. So you said you had a job for 15 years. What was that job, and what was it like for you having to leave it?
Well, I'm a nurse, so it was tough because you make friends in your hospital. I was at the same hospital for all 15 years. I started as an intern and worked my way up, and you make friends, you establish connections and relationships, and there's been a lot of amazing patients that have kept me at that hospital. So leaving there, coming to such a small town to where him and his family are from, it's a lot hard to find work.
Yeah.
So I find myself second guessing my decisions and what I'm doing for him, and then he finds out I'm kind of doing one thing for myself, and it's a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Wow. leaving your workplace for someone that you care about, it sounds like, was really tough for you, but like it was a decision that you made, right? And I'm kind of hearing that although you chose to make this decision, that it's not something that you're completely happy with right now. Would you say that's correct?
Yeah, I know that sounds definitely how I'm feeling for sure. I just feel like I was willing to make the decision for him. I just don't think he realized what it cost me.
Right. And with that, have you ever talked to your fiance about how it makes you feel or how you left for him as you see it?
Well, I think he can tell how depressed I am just being at home all the time and constantly looking and going to employment centers and things like that, but not being able to find anything because in such a small town, it's like I'm just overqualified for what they have to offer. So it's tough. I think he sees that, but it's not like he cares to do anything about it.
Right. So with that, and you said that you've applied everywhere, that you've seemed to be applying everywhere. With when it comes to you using, you said you started about 4 to 5 months ago, right? And that seemed to happen a few months after you were first engaged. Were you excited to be engaged to your fiance? Were you excited for the question to be asked?
Of course, and like it was done so amazingly and everything that you could have dreamed of, really. But as soon as we kind of just let everything fall into place, it wasn't falling into place the way we had planned. And I get like every relationship, so it's have the bumps in the road and things like that, but it's bumpy.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is it's starting to affect your relationship with him because I'm guessing, well, you said that he asked you to come in today, right?
Yeah.
And I guess he's kind of given you an ultimatum, so to speak.
That's exactly how it feels.
So how does that make you feel then? Like what was it like for him to say what he said?
Well, it's hard because I sacrificed a lot for him. And now I'm at the point where it's hard to deal with, so I found an outlet. But now that outlet is too hard for him to deal with, apparently. So all of a sudden, I'm the one who needs to make sacrifices again and change for him again. Meanwhile, he just gets to do his thing.
Yeah, that sounds difficult. So what does, in terms of your using, what does using look like for you? How did you start with your addiction?
Yeah, well, back when I was in my hometown, I did all the night shifts and things like that. So coming to the small town and things like that, still on the kind of mindset of night shifts and not having anywhere to go to work, I would just kind of go to the local bars and pubs around town that was my outlet at first to kind of deal with the changes I was going through and just kind of to accept that my life was happening. And I met a couple people there, and I guess they could see that I wasn't as happy.
Right.
And they offered, and I've just kind of been hooked ever since. It's just been my escape, and it makes me feel better when I'm using. But it's definitely taking a toll financially. And he just found out, so that's why I'm here. But yeah, I need to figure stuff out.
So when you say it's affecting you financially, what does your husband or your fiance do?
Okay, so he's an engineer. What was the other question?
What does your husband do? Like you said, financial wise.
Oh, okay. Should I say we have shared? I'll just say I still have money saved up from my previous job, and I've been burning through that. Okay. So he's an engineer, but when I decided to leave my job and come here, I still had money set aside for the wedding and expenses that way. But since my using, I've just kind of been burning through what I've had set aside. And with the planning of the wedding and us kind of seeing the costs and things like that, it came up about how much I still had set aside. And when I said what I have left, it kind of got into the, well, where did it all go and things like that. So it came out. I was honest about it, so I don't see why it's even that big of an issue if I can talk about it. Like, I don't care. You can know if I do that, but that's what I do, and it's for me. And I don't see it as an ultimatum that needs to be made between that and him.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I have both?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm kind of hearing that that you're not sure as to why it's become an issue or why he's concerned about it.
Mm-hmm.
And has he ever, I guess he found out in a not so great way, would you say that's correct? He kind of found out instead of you sharing with him.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't completely honest about it, as I could have just came out and said it. I let it come to the point where did all the money go? But I didn't lie about it then.
Mm-hmm.
I still admitted to it.
Okay, and when you say that you didn't lie about it, and it sounds like you are seeing that as a positive way to go about it, which is a fair way to look at it. You're right, you didn't lie to him. You could have hidden it. You could have said something else or averted the topic.
Exactly.
So you were honest about it. But what was that like? What was the honesty? Did you get the reaction that you expected to get? Like, are you surprised that he's upset by it, or that he asked you to come to counseling?
I am surprised. I mean, it's like he doesn't recognize all the things that I've done for him to get us where we are today, and the sacrifices and the things that I've done for him. And then all of a sudden I say the one thing that I chose to do for myself, or that I enjoy doing. And okay, maybe it's not the best thing, and maybe it's not the cheapest thing, and it's not the most ideal outlet to have, but it's what I'm doing, it's what I like to do, and it's what's working for me.
Mm-hmm.
So why can't he understand that or accept that?
Mm-hmm. And with that, do you see him being affected by your addiction? Did he notice anything prior to him finding out? Did you notice any changes before he found out about it?
Well, at the beginning of my use, when I was feeling very depressed and things like that, he did try to help. Like, he would come into the employment center with me and explore the options, what there was available, and things like that. So he was supportive, but I guess once I started using, I kind of was avoidant, I think. I was always just sneaking out at nighttime and doing whatever I could to go use, because it was just all I could think about. So I think that he knew something was up.
Mm-hmm.
So when I told him, it's like he was surprised, but not completely surprised. It's almost like he was relieved to know that it's not like I was cheating or something like that,
mm-hmm.
you know? But it's just hard on my end because he doesn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't accept it, and I want him to.
Mm-hmm. And I heard you say you compared it to cheating, and he might have been worried about that. And you said he kind of sounded relieved. So when it comes to that, do you think that it would have been a similar kind of experience? Like, what would have been the difference if you had come out with something else rather than an addiction? What's the difference with an addiction and cheating, as he explained it?
Well, when you put it that way, I guess they're kind of similar.
Well, I'm wondering what his perspective is on it. It seems like he really cares about you. He proposed to you. How long have you guys been together?
6 years.
6 years is a long time. So it must be hard to maybe see it from his perspective, because you see heroin and your addiction as something that's helping you get through a really tough time. Would you say that's correct? That
yeah.
It's helping you?
I agree with that, yeah.
And you're seeing positives. right?
I know the positives, but I can sort of see the negatives coming out.
And with negatives, what do you see on the other side of, although you're saying that it's helping you cope, what are you seeing on the negative side of it?
My relationship's just going down the drain. I had the greatest proposal and the greatest relationship for 6 years, and now it's going to lead to something to be for the rest of my life, but it's being threatened because of something that I enjoy doing. But that's selfish, I think. I mean, I enjoy doing it. It's for me. Like I said, it's what I want to do, but if it's something that's such a big deal to him that I would let it jeopardize our marriage, I could see that as a big negative in my own behavior, I guess. And financially, like I said, there's basically nothing left of what I had saved. So, and then if my parents and his parents found out, it would just be a never-ending spiral.
So I'm hearing you say that you don't want this to happen. You don't want this experience to happen. That you guys end up in not getting married, but you're saying that it's selfish, right? That this is something for you, and you don't see why it's a problem. Why you don't see why it should be his issue. But I'm also hearing that you're upset about it because you don't want that to happen. You can see where the negatives are coming from, and you don't want it to get worse. So, and you know what? With you saying you moved all the way out here, away from your hometown and away from your job of 15 years, that's a really big thing. It makes a lot of sense why you've turned to something to cope with, and it might not be something that you would have ever expected, but it's something that you've turned to cope with, and it makes sense why this is hard for you. It is a really big step. You've left something that you've known for all your life for someone that you care about a lot, and it doesn't seem like it's turning out the way that you wanted it to. So just know that like it is a really big thing that you've left something that you've known for all your life. But with that, again, seeing the negatives, is there any way that you would consider continuing counseling or working on your addiction or working through your addiction, or where are you with this? Because you did make the step of coming into counseling today.
I think talking about it has allowed me to see the negatives outweighing the positives a bit more, and I'd kind of like to explore that a bit more because I don't want to lose my marriage. I don't want to lose him. So I'd be willing to work on it more.
You would be willing to work on it. And that's a big step again, because you did come into the session saying that you didn't see an issue, and that you weren't sure why this was really, really going on. So it is a really big step that, again, you're acknowledging that. And I think you can really work through that. If you're interested in doing it, it will obviously take some time. It's an addiction, and it's something to work through. Would you say that you have the support of your fiance, or what do you feel? Do you feel that you have support, or that people are against you? What's your view on it?
I think I'd have his support. I mean, he's the one who made me come here today anyways. So I think if I was to propose the thought of working through it in more detail and putting more of the time into counseling and coming back to see you, I think we'd be able to get it back on track.
That's good. And I also heard you mention that his parents and your parents both don't know. They're not aware. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So could you explain a little bit more about that? How is your family close to you? How far away are you guys from home?
They're back in my hometown where I left,
okay.
So 4 hours away. And his parents live here, but not where our house is. They live about half an hour away from where we are. So we go and see them on weekends and things like that, but I never want to let it interfere with that. I mean, we've known each other for so long, I wouldn't want my usage to affect those relationships. It's already bad enough that's affecting my marriage, potential marriage.
So overall, like what I've heard from today is that your addiction that you've just recently started about 4 months ago has really caused some damage in your relationships, and it sounds like it started after you moved here and you had to leave your workplace that you've been there for a long time, and that it's obviously causing some financial stress on you, right? So I really think that this is something that if you're willing to do, we could definitely work on it, and you could meet every week if you wanted to, and we could work through this and see if there's some way of eliciting some kind of change.
I'd like that. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming in today, Samantha. You really made a big step in coming into counseling, even though you said that it wasn't something that you wanted to do. I really see it being helpful for you to continue.
Me too.
All right.
Thank you.